Okay, so I kind of ended that one on a scary note about the cannibalism, but it's so relevant now. It's so significantly relevant, okay? Because what um, we're able to see is that humans do work together in groups, okay? And if it's for a negative agenda, we'll call it a gang, okay? Right? Or, something like that. And so we can see, I agree, very similar to like this experience. All of a sudden now, we're getting a really good vision of the constructs that we might perceive as the giants. Like the 185 parliamentary individuals in Canada that actually voted to support Trudeau. Okay? So they're part of this cannibalistic giant that is literally has got such a demented program put into their brain that they think it's acceptable to engage the spirit of cannibalism and get us by the neck. Okay? Okay? You see? So why are they doing it? It's like Cain wanting to kill his brother because he thought he was going to not have enough food. It is believed that this is, in fact, I'm sure we would be utterly freaked out, okay, if we allowed ourselves to be more fully aware of this potentiality that exists, okay? And it is not something that we want to promote or provoke or contribute to bringing up in humanity, because the best I can see it, it's even the propensity for such a thing, okay, is coming from our mammalian heritage, okay? And officially, a human being is classed as a scavenging omnivore. A scavenging omnivore, which is, you see, we're not classed officially as a predator because our teeth aren't right, okay? Because we don't have like these are, but our eyes are predatorial, okay? And our brain, the way our brain is, the left side is the more predatorial orientated, where our ego exists and has the ability, okay? So we do have different ways of making decisions and deciding what we're going to do. And to survive becomes a very dominant influence, okay? So the more we are find ourselves, whether it's logical or not, or rational or not, that our ability to survive is potentially being encroached upon, it will naturally trigger these very strong emotional responses of defense, okay? Which can be a short term, but not long term way of surviving, because we have the Neanderthals, okay? And we have our own humanoid history, which is recorded in the Bible, okay? And I feel very strongly that the Nephilim, okay, through that, whatever that was, okay, because it goes all the way back to Babylon and the building of Babylon and the city, and Cain ate Abel, Cain a bull. And it said of what was the king's name? I can't remember the king's, one of the first. Anyways, he was, it said, a feller of men. And so it is very possible that one of the first civilizations literally organized around practicing cannibalism. And we know that Easter Island is what it sunk to once they had exploited their environment. Okay, so then they had no trees and they couldn't make boats, so they couldn't fish, and okay, that's what happened to Easter Island. So this is a fact, a phenomena of an implosion, okay, of our system when we as a species gets out of balance with the natural world. Okay? Okay, so do we have to be afraid of this? Okay? The more we can recognize it, I think the recognizing of it is what is so important. And the thing that we can, for myself, be really confident in is the uncountable, like grasshoppers in number. Okay? Like all Canadian prairie farmers know how many grasshoppers there can be. There can be a lot of grasshoppers. And if those grasshoppers, if there's a bloom of grasshoppers, they're going to have a serious effect, okay? And so, yep, looks like we're deep into the paradigm changing time now. Yep, yeah, we really are. And we're going to really need to do things in a fresh new way. Okay, a really fresh new way. Come out of the closet, you could say. It's not about denying the danger, okay? But recognize why is it being provoked in the first place. And it's all because of deviating, from my perspective, from our true purpose as a apex species on this planet. Okay? We have a really, really significant potential to get our needs met, okay, but through the receiving of the surplus of the natural world, okay, as we steward her, heal her, okay, nurture her, support her fertility and her abundance organically, okay? There will be so much, okay? Because ultimately the component of the species that's dominant right now is being completely, from as far as I can see, overcome by the death cult mentality, which bases its decisions on the fear of death that they have, okay? And that's been with us for a really, really long time. And short term, you see, they this group can think like a gang. They go out and they steal, okay, from their larger community, and they think they survive. But what have they done? They've weakened the larger community that their life actually does depend on. And then what'll happen is as they go out, you see, they're depleting their own, the very thing that they need to survive. And what do we need? Is we need each other. We need fellowship. We need friends. We need to be able to have bonds of love, okay, that are as close as our family, okay? I am very convinced that this is the main mechanism humanity was able to incorporate into their nature, which has allowed us to break the cycle of reverting to cannibalism, okay? But the spirit of cannibalism is a different matter. And even though people who are literally completely driven by the spirit of cannibalism might think, oh, I'm not a cannibal because I don't literally eat the flesh of a human being. But if they consume everything that a human might need to have a simple life, but have sustenance and covering and quality of life and, the basic things they need, and they're consuming it because of their fear, they're cannibals. You don't have to eat the flesh of a human to be a cannibal. So, there are, what do you call that? The heavy metal guys make songs about this, and you think they're talking about literal cannibalism. It's about the spirit of cannibalism, okay? And that can be really difficult for us to see in our own nature, okay? But when we become angry at others and we want to control them, force them, make them do what we want because we are afraid we're going to die, you see? And we lose our compassion. We lose, okay? Now, I'm not talking about being some softy, okay, here, okay? Because once the human condition is dominated by this way of thinking, it is dangerous. Like a domestic dog that has been put on a chain, okay? And maybe, so it's got this really small territory and it's really frustrated and barely is getting what it needs, okay? If you approach that and that dog doesn't know you, it would be very dangerous. It could maul you, try to kill you and eat you, literally. But there's a higher environment that has induced that behavior in that dog. And that dog, okay, is dangerous, but we can see what's been done that is invoked it in the first place, okay? So the higher influences that have done this to humanity, they have a very, very large accounting that is waiting for them, okay? So, as far as I can see, there is a plan, and all the elected officials in the parliament who voted and allowed their identity to be exposed, who would vote against us, I want to stress something. In the book of Revelation, it speaks that when this great last beast is present, the people are so convinced it's invincible. They say, who can war with the beast? Who is like the beast? So you see, these individuals don't believe we can overcome this force, this cannibalistic nature that is operating in so many, okay? But it's a smaller percentage of humanity, okay? And so this did concern me. So what's really is important is that we really do document and remember everyone who did vote against the people, okay? They are part of that gang. They are part of the Nephilim, the descendants that are Anak, who want to get people by the neck, okay, to control them, okay? Now, even some that voted against, okay, they could still be traitors too. And they're just trying to conceal their identity because once they had enough vote, you see, they don't have to reveal themselves. So that's really important, okay? Very important. So where is our strength? It's in our fellow man. It's in each other, okay? That's where our strength is in the grasshoppers, okay? And so there are going to be things that we are going to be able to do now more freely, more confidently, with more conviction and certainty. There is no other path, as far as I can see. The dominant system has been overcome by the fear of the consequences for what they have done. Okay? And that is also foreshadowed in the book of Revelation, because it says that they say, oh, hide us, and they say to the mountains, conceal us, who can stand, who can bear the wrath of God? What is the wrath of God? The simple consequences of what they've done. That's the wrath of God. It's built in. It's built in. Okay? Yeah, it's built in. And so It is definitely time, or for me, it's definitely an opportunity now. Like Jesus said, there's an open door before us that we can go through with a new way of perceiving everything that's happening, why it's happening, our place in these events, and what are we going to do about it. And what I observed when I seen all those uncountable numbers of people, for myself, I see that as representative of what is called the great crowd that no man is able to number, who comes out, who makes the transition from between the paradigms. You see, we showed ourselves. In fact, we spooked them. We spooked the giants. The giants are definitely terrified. Okay, definitely. Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of people at different places. They're going to try different things, and they're going to want to just save their cities and say, and I get it. And it is important to stabilize civilization. Really, really important. And so for myself, I don't have any interest in ripping down the system that they got billions of people dependent on because they got them like this. Okay? But that doesn't mean that we got to be, because we have this book that has been given to us by our ancestors who have lived through this type of cycle over and over and over again, and they have documented what works and preserves life. Okay? That's what the Bible is actually about, from my perspective. Okay? Yes, the book is full of beautiful spiritual concepts, okay? But remember, I am not of the conviction that my hope is to die and go to heaven. No. When I have thoroughly read the Bible, it's about us here stabilizing our presence as an apex species and bringing ourselves into harmony, organic harmony with the planet, okay? In a nurturing capacity, so that everlasting life is also connected to us not going extinct as a species or race, okay? So even the promise to inherit the land and have everlasting life, of course, it's a beautiful thing to think that that could actually happen to, I get it. I understand all the different ways we've tried to imagine the promises being fulfilled, okay? And so that leaves open the ability for God to give us gifts. But there's a lot of things I could say that is indicated in the Bible when the Jews did make the transition during the wilderness. Their lifespans were expanded. It said that their clothes and their shoes didn't wear out. Okay, well, this body, it could be a reference that when we start making more and more positive decisions that, actually are aligned with the will of God, which could be also a way of saying aligned with the life force cycles of the planet, okay, we might be surprised how our biology even responds in a more organic way of revitalization and healing, because a lot of stresses, like there could be all kinds of unexpected positive results when we simply start making new decisions that take into consideration the life of not just our small self, but the bigger whole that we are part of. And how do we support that and still survive on the day-to-day basis? You see, it's like we're juggling now. Do we revert to this cannibalistic, very fear-driven, predatorial, extractive, stealing, whatever? Or do we seek out others who have a common capacity to think a little bigger and loving and gentle and creative, okay? And progressive and not aggressive, because we realize what we're dealing with here. So for me, it's all in now. It really is all in. So I'm going to make another video where I explain how I perceive the private domain and how it supports this moment in time where we're at. Okay? Bye-bye, friends.